still, this is my so-called handmade life. I have a blog by the same name, and that's my name on Instagram. On Ravelry, I am Mamatronic. This is a knitting, sort of knitting podcast. I talk about stuff I'm making, but I also talk about whatever, and so you never really know what you're going to get. This week, though, or this episode, is very knitting focused, specifically on sweaters. So for a while now, I've had people ask if I would talk about some of my older sweaters that I've knit. And I recently mentioned in a blog post that I'd knit over 100 sweaters. And several people had said, oh, I'd like to see what you've done. And so today's the day. I have dredged up probably 100 sweaters laying around me. My pets are walking through the stacks like it's a corn maze for them. The cats are really getting into this knitwear. And I figure since I've got some of the old ones out, I may as well do them all. Talk about all of them briefly. So I've counted probably 117 that I've made. I don't have them all anymore. Some have been given away. They weren't all for me. And by sweaters, I mean any upper body garment. So that includes shrugs, tank tops, any summer knit, vests, and baby sweaters, gifts. So I'm going to try and do this, and hopefully it will be not much longer than 117 minutes. I feel like it's going to be longer, but I'll try. I'm going to edit the fool out of this episode, I'm sure. I also have to say that with all of it stacked around me, even though I didn't keep them all, I am really realizing how much stuff I have. There's a bit of an awakening to seeing how much stuff I have and how much access to yarn I have now compared to when I started. My reasons for doing it have changed even. I guess I'll just start at the beginning. When I was a young mom, probably around 2001, 2002, I would look through Anthropologie catalogs, and they always had a great sweater selection, and I saw this like lilac colored fuzzy mohair like kind of ballerina wrap looking sweater, and I wanted that, but it was over $200 probably, and of course I wasn't going to do that. I was a stay-at-home mom, and we had one income. I wouldn't have done that anyway. I'm not going to spend that much for a store-bought garment, but we made do with one income, and part of making that work, I did a lot of things myself. So I kind of like DIY anyway, but I started thinking, why can't I take yarn and sticks and do this myself? Here in this part of Texas, it's very warm. I know of no one who could knit. Everyone's grandmother or mother has crocheted at some point in their life. I don't know why crochet is so much bigger here, but no one knitted. But that's what I wanted to learn to do. And I told my husband, and so for Christmas, he got me a learn to crochet kit because he didn't know the difference. But it got me started thinking. And I got Debbie Stoller's Stitch and Bitch book. Had lots of great sweater patterns, but at first I was just starting small. Lots of hats, lots of scarves. But probably around 2004, I tackled my first sweater from that book. And it was Jenna Wilson's Big Sack sweater. Big Sack sweater was meant to be a big oversized sweater, and it was. My body size has changed since I started knitting. That's been almost 20 years, and I've gained weight, so this still fits me. One thing I don't like is that I think I slightly felted it trying to air dry it in the dryer. I knit this out of Lamb's Pride Bulky by Brown Sheep Company. I went on my first trip to Hill Country Weavers, and up till this point I had just used some Lion Brand, Karen, Patton's yarn to make headbands and things like that, accessories. So this has a little bit of mohair to it. You might can see the halo. Was so excited to get a sweater's worth of yarn that was nice yarn. To me this was really nice, and I gotta tell you, It's very dense. It's a barrier, definitely. It makes me think of the way a Lopi sweater would feel, like very much a barrier against the elements. So were I to knit this now, I would obviously knit a size larger so that I would have it oversized. But honestly, I wouldn't change anything except I might not do the mohair blend. I would probably do a tweed yarn. I love this roll neck. I like the rolled edges of the hem. This is really a great sweater, and I'm so proud that this was my first sweater. It came out really good. I've discovered Niti. So I would print out the entire issue of Niti because like the internet was going to go away, you know. I wanted to make sure I had all those patterns, and it was free. It was so awesome. And I did a sweater called Blackberry. I don't have it anymore. I never actually wore it anywhere. It's a really cute design. I'm going to put in a picture of mine. However, I thought it hung weird unless it was buttoned or fastened in some way. It was a bolero. And when I fastened it, I thought it looked good. But it was really great. It had baubles. My first time to ever do baubles. It had cables. But one sleeve was not, it was loose and really comfortable. The other was fitted, so it looked really weird. I never wore it anywhere. And it was knit in Lion Brand woolies, heather. I don't know. Things with bell sleeves, boleros were really the thing. It was like 2005 maybe at this point. Crafter was a big deal. I don't think Ravelry was still, I still don't think we had Ravelry at this point. And there was a Crafter user whose name was My Love is Deep. And My Love is Deep had a one skein pattern called Red Bauble, and it was a big deal. It was a red shrug. It looked like a tube, but it had an opening on one side. And it took about one skein of yarn, and so you could put it on like this. This actually still fits. I was probably a 32-inch bust maybe when I started knitting. So I've got probably 2 or 3 inches more. Listen to me talking about my measurements. But you're gonna see, a lot of these things don't fit great. It's not always because I didn't knit it well. It is because they don't all fit me now. It's really cute. It used a skein, and this was also from my first big adventure to Hill Country Weavers. It was Rowan's bulky yarn. And I loved all those Rowan bulky books. Bulky was the thing, right? It was the early 2000s, and a lot of people were just getting into knitting, and many people recommend, and you'll find new knitters often use bulky yarn. I don't know if it was because it was a little easier to finish a project quickly before people lost steam, and so that's why bulky was so often used for beginners patterns, or if it's because that was really trendy at the time. Bulky just lends itself well to fingers that are learning to be nimble at knitting. You know, it's really tactile. You've got a lot of yarn there, you've got big needles. I still love working with bulky yarn because, I don't know, it just feels like home when I start working with it in my hands with wooden needles. So anyway, this was green bauble, and my daughter liked it, and so I told her to pick out some yarn for me to make her one. This was going to be the beginning of a pattern with my daughter and I, where she would see something and say, yeah, I like it. I don't know if she felt like she would hurt my feelings if she told me the truth, or if she really did like it, the idea of it. There's also that feeling that a girl might have a little bit of a suspicion. If her mother likes it, it must not be cool. So like, you know, if I liked a swimsuit, then it was basically a Victorian era bathing smock, right? In her mind. So this might have been like a bathing smock to her. So it was a rainbow bauble, which obviously is not the most attractive of things. She didn't even want to wear it, so I didn't weave in the ends. You can tell this is one of my sweaters. So then I'm ready for something that was a huge statement for me. This was was called the Airy lace wraparound, and it was very close to the look of that first sweater from Anthropology that made me want to knit a couple of years before. And this is probably 2000, I don't know, 6. I'm making this. It actually kind of, it still fits. This is a discontinued yarn from Patton's called Patton's Lacette. So you can see major long, one side is major long for this wrap, and the other not quite so long. And I actually think I shortened one side so that it would be easier to wrap around and then join them and have manageable lengths. Both of them are manageable in length, so you can see. I'm trying to film this in a tiny house with sweaters stacked all around me, so I'm doing the best I can. And it's really nice. This is a mohair acrylic blend. It's very similar to what Stephanie Jappel used in the pattern sample. And I gotta say, I still feel really good about this, you know. It's not too dated either, because there's always a time where you might want to wear a pretty wrap around a dress or something. I'm really proud of this. This was my first, I don't know, this was the moment when I knew I had arrived as a knitter. Also, I was really thrilled to find a yarn that would make this mohair look at Joann. Okay, so I had some leftover Rowan Chunky from that first trip to Hill Country Weavers, and I wanted to do a twinkle pattern. Do you remember Twinkle? Twinkle knits? That's Winland Chia's, all done with, usually done with chunky yarn, and they always look stylish on the models. Now on me, not so much. This actually fits better on me now than it did when I was younger, because I think I feel it better. It hung weird. It would come off right here. This kind of saggy, loose, and I felt like, you can see it's fitted right now. It's got a giant chunky cable, but I don't think it looks too bad. You know, usually a giant cable on the front of something tends to make a person look bloated. It actually doesn't, because it's pulled tight enough, because I feel it. When I first wore this, let me just turn around for you. When I first wore this, it was a little loose on me, and it kind of hung, and to me it looked like kind of tumorous, the cable. I also struggled with what to wear, excuse me, beneath it. This actually doesn't look terrible. I don't mind the front. It's very vest-like. I just don't really like the back, because it does look like a camisole. Just something that's usually meant to be very light or fitted like a camisole. Bulky yarn, I just really don't like the way it looks. If this was just a little more structured like a vest, I would still wear this. My grandmother wanted me to knit her something, because I was all into this new hobby and she liked it. So she wanted a poncho, and I said, well, what about this one? I have this pattern. And this would begin a pattern with her also, where she would want something and be wanting to encourage me in this hobby, and maybe like what I made for myself, but when I gave her something, she'd be like, So I made Via poncho for her, and I used some kind of, it wasn't fun fur, but it was like one of those fuzzy type yarns to make it. I mean, it was very dated. Now, fun fur was a look. She never actually wore it. Alexandra ballerina top. That was my next Stephanie Jappel sweater, and I think I actually gave that one away. And that's something I found with several of these chunky sweaters that I made, or my early sweaters. A very fitted body, fitted arms, but then maybe a loose floppy neck or kind of a loose floppy ribbing. But I used Lion Brand Landscapes yarn. It's nice yarn. It's nice and fuzzy, warm, but it was very variegated. And it really distracted from the cable pattern. There was heavy cables on the sweater. It was all reverse stockinette and bulky, and then cabling. Very wide ballet top looking neck, but it just never sat well. I really didn't understand that I truly do dress for comfort now. I typically wear something really oversized and comfortable. I've got on jeans, I've got on boots, it's all about comfort. My next knit was pretty fun. This was something I found on Ravelry, and at this point I was on Ravelry. Halloween, our church would always have like a fall festival, and so my son, we'd go through the store and he would see all these bloody scythes and axes and swords, and he wanted that stuff so bad. He wanted to dress as some sort of grim reaper or bloody barbarian, and I wouldn't let him do it for the church festival. But even though there's a lot of gore in the Bible, y'all, I said, okay, wait, get a regular sword. And he got a shield and a helmet, and I was like, I'll make you a knight's costume. And I think he was doubtful that I could do it, but I made him a cotton coif. Now, keep in mind, this was for a little boy's head, and a chainmail top. And this is actually a chainmail top, you see? He was 8, and so this fit him. And what I did, it's garter stitch, and it's just sugar and cream cotton. I knit it, and then I dipped it in gray paint. It's just a mesh lace knit, and it was so much fun because I dipped it a few times in paint, and it had a bit of a sheen to it at first, and stiffness. And then I did, the little leather laces, and it was a very, very cheap costume. I encouraged them to do homemade stuff where we could. And this let him be kind of bad without being, And hey, I found this in his closet today. He kept it, so maybe it meant something to him. You know how it is. We all fall for the way knitwear is styled. Welcome to Knit Cafe. That's what it was. Welcome to Knit Cafe. That was my first look at books like that. And this slouchy cardigan was in that book. I would like to have one that's really oversized, honestly. And I would schlep around in this thing all the time. I probably wouldn't go out with the sleeve. I would just make it a loose sleeve all the way if I were to do it again today. And I might just do that. It also had a hood in back, so let me show you. I did this in Rowan Cash Cotton, and I was running out of the yarn, and so what I did was I fudged the hood. I just made it a little bit smaller. It is more narrow than it would have been. It can work like a hood. It doesn't quite come as far down, but it looks just fine hanging behind me, and I wasn't going to wear a slouchy, sloppy hood, Oh my gosh, this cash cotton, it's cashmere and cotton. It's really held up well. I mean, look, this isn't that pilled up. Look, there's some pills. But considering it is from, let me see, 2008. I wasn't done experimenting with the Twinkle books, and this one I really do think is a success. I still wear it. This is the Twinkle hoodie. It is seriously green. But it's a fun sweater. Would you call it a statement piece? Again, with the mega hood, right? This one actually works as a hood, so I'm kind of Sith Lord here. And I love these big, it's like coconut looking buttons. And they do button. So let me just take a step back here and show you how it fits. It's a bit like a bomber jacket. So it's meant to be a little bit, the ribbing actually brings it in a bit. And I did this, I almost got Twinkle yarn for this, but I did decide to use brown sheep bulky again. I got this also at Hill Country Weavers, still in the old location. It was like an old home. still blew my mind when I would walk in. I was just like, couldn't sort and understand all of the offerings they had. It's so funny, now I walk into the new location for Hill Country Weavers, and they are a very established business. Big deal here in Texas, and I can totally get where the different types of yarns are. It's like my brain is doing a kind of a Terminator, you know, all the stats are there in front of my vision. You see there's pockets. That's really cute, and it looks bomber jacket-like, but it's not real. I mean, those are knuckle pockets, basically. It's mostly about the look. All of these have lengthy blog posts, one or more, of the process of making them and all the modifications, except my very most recent ones. I really enjoyed looking back on my blog. I enjoyed looking back on the photographs, like how I took faux photos of these and how they have evolved. I got this yarn to make Twinkle's karate sweater because I saw it at Anthropology and I wanted a karate sweater. I had the pattern in the book. I was going to knit it. There were just so many errors. My husband went and got 2 plungers, took the ends off of them, honed them down, sharpened them into points, then sanded them for me so that I would have giant knitting needles, and it just pulled my shoulders, hurt my neck and head. So I gave up on that and I went with this one. I did my first Fair Isle. It was the Road to Golden sweater by Lisa Schroyer from a Knit Scene magazine. At that point, I chose my knitting sweater sizes based on how much yarn I had. I was always looking to save a few bucks. So when I went to order all the Knit Picks yarn for this, I probably could have knit a size bigger. And it was meant to be fitted. Look at those waist increases and decreases. See how it bells out? And these sleeves have a slit, a cutout, and they bell out a little because of that. I know that was the style in the early 2000s. I never really liked the way they belled out, but I didn't care because I loved the body of the sweater. Look at this pattern. I'm gonna try it on. I'm just gonna try. I can cut it if I don't like it, or if I can't get it on me, I might have to cut it off my body. This is a super fitted body. It was, even when it fit me, it was. I didn't like that, but I did like the length okay, and I like the idea of vents on the side. One thing I never did like was the neckline. This was kind of open. So I would change that if I were to knit it today. And I have to tell you, looking through all these sweaters has made me want to reknit several. And this is one I would not mind reknitting and omitting the waist shaping. I don't mind a large boat neck if the whole body is oversized, but I hate it when it's fitted and then you've got floppy neck. And this was my first time to use wool of the Andes, and look how well this has held up. I wore this sweater a lot. But I'll be honest, all of these fitted sweaters, I mean, when I came home from wherever I was, I usually pulled them off and put on a schleppy giant sweater of my husband's or a sweatshirt or something. And I didn't even know how to knit two-handed color work. I literally would cross one ball over the other and start working with the new yarn, and then cross it over and work with the other yarn, and I did that through the whole thing. I'm getting more confident, right, as a knitter, and we're getting around 2011. And I want to try something a little more difficult. Well, at first it wasn't going to be that difficult. It was a sweater by Mary Weaver called Mrs. Darcy, the Mrs. Darcy cardigan. I had looked through it, decided what I wanted to do, made some notes, and then I added other people's from Ravelry's notes, cut and paste, and put it in a document. And so I knew how I wanted to do it. It was just a matter of yarn, getting yarn. And somewhere in that time period, between doing that and getting the yarn, she took it off Ravelry to add it to a book, and it wasn't available to purchase. So I just went with the notes I had, what I had read of the pattern, and looked at the photo, and I made up a Mrs. Darcy cardigan. I made one for my daughter, because again, she really wanted that sweater. My daughter has an even longer torso. She's got a long everything, very tall, long arms, so I added 2 inches to the body, maybe an inch or 2 to the sleeves for her from what I would have done. It was a really nice sweater, but she never wanted to wear it. I knit another one for myself, and both of these, hers and mine, were knit in Ella Ray yarns that I got at Ross, Dress for Less. So it was like my first time to use Ella Ray. It was my first time to make something just by looking at something else, to copy something I had seen. And it was also my first time to hear that song. I got it at Ross. So this is supposed to have a very vintage feel to it. And it didn't fit great on me. This actually fit kind of big on me back when I made it. I was a little disappointed. It's different Ella Ray yarn than what my daughter used. Hers was 100% wool. I think this has a little silk in it. And so it's drapey and it grew. And you can see the issue I'm having right here with it wanting to fold under. It hung. It just didn't fit me great. I rarely wore it. But when I did wear it, if I wore it with a ruffled shirt or something, I had like a tuxedo shirt, kind of fancy frilled front, that was pretty cool. So let me show you all the way around. This is a very soft sweater, and actually I would wear this now. I might try to press these edges so they don't roll under, but I don't think it's the biggest deal. I feel a little vaboom, but you know, it's not indecent. It's just in my head. I'm used to wearing swaths of fabric over me. These, I did learn though, these sleeves are plenty long enough. I love the length of them. Oh my goodness, this is such a soft yarn. It's just not the color I would have chosen. I gave the better color to my daughter. She never wore it.
A regular fitting, messed up stitching, pots for my kitchen. I got it at Ross, chick. What did you expect?
That's not a lot of sweaters to produce in 6 years. Later on, after my grandparents started to have aging issues and get unwell, I got really stressed out and I started knitting like a freak. I had less time to knit, but I did so much output, and I think it was just coping. Enter Jane Richmond. You know, like, she's such a big deal. She was one of the first big indie designers that would sell patterns on Ravelry. Jane Richmond, Isolde, Alison de Kaizen, Teresa Gregorio. Those were some of the first that I knew of on Ravelry. And I loved how Jane, a lot of designers were using affordable yarns then, but hers, even to this day, she often uses things that you can find anywhere. And I just think there's something encouraging about that. So I made her oatmeal, and this would be the first of 3 oatmeals. I'm going to put it on, but it doesn't really fit. I knit it with 3/4 sleeves, but I didn't like them. So I went back and lengthened the sleeves. This is the Lion Brand Thick and Quick color oatmeal, but it's tighter here than I would like. I do tend to have larger arms for my bust size. I don't know if I said that already. It's not just because I work out. So there's this raglan line. I don't know if you can see here. It's not the straight diagonal of a normal raglan line. It would kind of stair step over. And it was a neat little, I don't know, it was just kind of like a neat little detail, if it fits you well. But it always felt just a little like I couldn't, like, I gotta move, I need room, I'm gonna go crazy and Hulk out and rip everything and suddenly be naked wearing purple capris like the Hulk if I feel constricted too much. So, but I did wear it a ton when I knit it. Then I knitted another one, which I can't find. I think it is in a special place where I put stuff that I'm going to fix. And I have no idea where that place is. It was a nice yarn. It was Classic Elite Paint Box. But it looked like this. It was camo colors, but it looked like this worked up. It was just too much variegation. So it's in my pile of things to fix one day. It fits a little better than this. I think because the yarn has more give, being 100% wool. And I'm gonna dye it dark navy or black. I have one of Jane's sweaters on my needles right now in Thick and Quick bulky yarn from Lion Brand, and I know I'm going to love it, and I can finish it probably this weekend. Corona camisole was, I think, my first knit to actually make from interweave knits. I have so many of them from back in the day when I would buy print magazines. This was by Kristen Tendai, and to me it looks very waif-ish. I think of 1920s, 1930s. I think of a woman wearing this over an apron dress or a skirt or something. I was still struggling with gauge and not taking fabric into account. This is a bamboo yarn, so it's going to drape and it's going to grow and it's going to get long. These fittings, I didn't know where to find like bra fittings. I didn't think about going to a store that sold fabric for that. So I just got some cheap dollar jewelry somewhere and I broke the other stuff off of it and used these little silver rings for this. But you can see I haven't actually worn it anywhere because I still got safety pins holding it together in the back. My last foray into twinkle patterns by Winland Chia. I wanted to knit the Rockefeller sweater. And I think I have it here. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm really not through with twinkle patterns. I have 2 of the books. This Town and Country, I only knit this from it. I want to knit all these things, and I know there's probably mistakes in the patterns. I mean, you know, really, am I really gonna wear this peach sweater? But yet I want to feel it in my hands as I make it. I am compelled to knit these Winland Chia patterns. Anyway, I did what Isabel Kramer did on hers. She knit the Rockefeller pattern, but she added the Nantucket cable. Here's what the Nantucket cardigan looks like. And so that's what I did here. If you're gonna make it bulky, don't make it fitted. Let it be nice and bulky. So, I mean, this is okay for an open cardigan. It's supposed to be shawl collared. Just keep in mind, it doesn't drape great because it is Lion Brand. It's not like that green sweater I made earlier by Twinkle. Oh, and what is the deal with this? What on earth? It's like I didn't know how to attach these, but let's pretend I have good buttons on it. See how it just looks kind of pulled tight? I don't like all this open weave. I don't like it. It always looked this way. It's not just because I'm larger now. It just always looked this way. So I had this thing where I didn't project how something would fit on me. And I also still was on a budget, and so I was trying to eke things out with the smallest amount of yarn. Here's another green sweater that is really good. It fit great when I made it. It was meant to be a zero ease sweater. I bet you recognize this pattern already. Can you hear my wind chimes? They're so pretty. I love this time of year because it's so windy. Kate Davies owls. You see, I just did the button eyes on one owl. I really liked that little detail on just one. So this still fits me today. Like, I could wear this and I feel confident. I don't feel like it looks too tight in the arms. If a sweater's going to be tight, if a fitted sweater is going to be tight, it's going to be tight right here on me. It's fitted. It's not too tight. I'm kind of a freak and I don't want to feel anything pressing against my body. I love this pattern. It's a big deal. If you've been knitting any length of time, you know what a big deal it is. This is probably from about 2000. She probably put this out in 2008 or 2009, but I think I knit it in 2010. And I use patons, and this is my first sweater in patons, I believe. And I loved this yarn. This is the moss colored yarn. This sweater called for decreases in the back, and instead I moved the decreases to the side, and I put an extra inch in between increases and decreases to make sure that long torso got covered. And you can see this is a great length for me. Great length. Look at these. My arms are bent and my wrists are still covered. I also have very squared, broad shoulders. Like, things don't always want to fit well over those shoulders, so it's just something I have to keep in mind when I'm knitting. So here's another one that I've finagled. I kind of fudged on it, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I think she used Cascade Quattro yarn, and I got some, and it was in this colorway. But I did not have enough to make the U-neck vest. But I did a combo between the U-neck vest and the tuxedo vest by Wendy Bernard. So I did the tuxedo vest pattern, but I changed the stitch count so that I could do Stephanie Jappel's waffle knit for the body of the vest. So it's a much smaller vest. It's cropped, and it's a very low neck, and it required, I think, only 2 skeins of that Quattro yarn. This is really cute. Let me step back here. So you see, it's kind of an almost stand-up neck collar. It's knit long, and the ribbing, it's knit twice as thick and then doubled under and seamed, and that gives it kind of a stand-up look. Really nice. This is just, and there's plenty of room on this. It actually fits me now. I love this. This was a big dare for me. I was really nervous about it, and did I have this on inside out? So if it wasn't on the right direction, now you're seeing the waffle print. Now you can see how it's supposed to look. I love this pattern. I'm glad I have all these out, because now I can rearrange what's in what box for better accessibility. And I'm sure I'll give some of these away after looking through them again. It's nice to look back on things with the eyes of, 20 years of experience and see, will I really wear this? Do I really want this? Is this the art project I want to keep from the past? Then I did my first Isabel Kramer pattern, and the first one was a major fail. Not Isabel's fault. I wanted to do her caramel, and I wanted to do it in patents. And caramel is an open front, loose hanging flap type cardigan. I knit this and it was huge. I just didn't really understand. Like, I would knit on a small cord, and so I really wouldn't spread things out and see what the gauge was going to be like. So it ended up pretty huge. So I tried to slightly shrink it. It is a felted mess. Well, look how high it goes up and back. This looks like my husband's t-shirts. I'll do this because he's really tall. And after he has them a while, they rise up like a little boy and back. It's cute. I have saved this all this time because I keep thinking one of these days, since it's felted, I'm just going to cut out this front part, cut out the back or this other front part, and I'm going to make a laptop or iPad bag or cozy. It's been like a cat bed. So then I did it again, this time understanding my gauge or taking into account how it would look when I got it off the needles. This one did fit when I knit it. It's a little tight now in the arms, but I'm going to put it on for you anyway. I could have gone longer in the arms, even way back when. See how open front, and you could close it with a shawl pin, which I did sometimes. It's very cool. This is a very cool pattern. Except I feel like these arms are a bit tight. Just right here, just where the old bicep is. It's not from muscle that they're too tight. I got introduced to Tara Lynn Morrison's Goodnight Day patterns, I think on Flickr. I first saw them, but she had a tank out and I can't find one of them. I got rid of. I did it in Lion Brand bulky yarn. It was the Pembroke tank. I'll just put a picture up. Lion Brand isn't great for a chunky knit camisole. I did use Araucania yarn and it came out pretty good. That one looked better, but I didn't have a ton of the yarn, and I really would have liked to have made it longer so that it could look kind of oversized and flowy. It's fine, but I didn't really love the way it looked on me. She had access to some thick and thin wool that was really special, and there weren't a lot of people making that was affordable for me at the time. But I do love her patterns, and I've knit many of her patterns. Campus jacket. Campus jacket works, guys. I just wore it. I had this put up under the bed from last winter. I haven't worn it in a while. It's my first Amy Christopher's pattern to try. It's got a little bit of a shawl collar. I love this ribbing here, the way that looks. And I put toggles on it, which I love. I don't think this was meant to have, I don't remember if it was meant to have a button band or just meant to be open front. But everything is great about this except, can you see them? These pockets, talk about tumorous. They just kind of stick out weird. It's not the end of the world. I've worn it. This pocket is not even really useful. I mean, it works as a pocket, but I think if I just used fabric or felted fabric that was thinner, it would look better. So my options are to take these out and put in felted fabric that lays smooth, possibly even dart it here and here so that it does lay smooth. And look how I ran out of yarn, so this is not near deep enough. Make it deeper. Or if I'm really lazy, remove this pocket and just seam this up and let it look like there's a pocket here. Just seam it up because I don't really use the pocket anyway. It's a bit of a thick and thin, very rustic looking. Take a look. So you see a blend. Super pilled up. You can see I've worn this a lot. I forgot to tell you about what probably is my favorite knitting experience. I did a couple of Beatniks by Norgan, and this is pretty fitted. There you go. You can see it's mine. I wore this a ton though. I just tucked that in apparently. Oh, I love this sweater. So this one, I was super proud of it because it maybe cost $15, and this is Lion Brand Wool Ease in major mustard color. Look at all these cables. It is so beautiful. You can see this collar has a bit of that stand-up look of a retro, like 60s, maybe 50s look in the neck. I love the way that looks. And one thing I did wrong here, I think what's called English moss stitch, so it's not the same as how we would do it in the States, maybe. Okay, so now I have a fitted, very period looking retro sweater. I would like one of these that wasn't so fitted. So there was this sweater I had made. I had bought, like, used for my husband. Because like I said, I like to recycle clothing. That's back when Gap had this kind of tag. But you can see these speckle colored little tweedy knits, all different colors. I would borrow this from him when I could. This is actually, it looks really big. This is actually one that rides up really high and back, like that caramel did on me, on him. So actually I could wear this all the time now because he can't. So I knit my second Beatnik out of Patton's Classic Tweed, the brown color, and it's got really great little pops of red and green and orange and yellow. And this one I knit a size, I believe I knit it either a whole size bigger or I just had a different gauge working with different yarn, but I knit it on purpose hoping it would be bigger, and it is. Look at that collar, isn't that great? It's longer. The body is a bit longer, and these are still 3/4 sleeves, but they're the longer 3/4. So like this. So I love it, and this is actually a sweater I wouldn't mind redoing and making oversized. When I started working on this is one of the reasons I found out about Alison DeKuysen's patterns, because she did a knit along, maybe through her blog, on Beatnik. She had how to do it in the round up to the sleeves, and then you work the front separately back and forth, and the back and forth, front, back, and 2 separate sleeves that were set in. I hate setting in sleeves, so I really appreciated her notes. It was well after the fact that I saw them on her blog, but I think a lot of people have used those notes to try knitting this sweater. And that's kind of how I found out about her designs, and she was pretty prolific. She's tried just about everything. And eventually you're going to see I knit a ton of patterns that came out in Holliness. A lot of them are hers or other people's that she curated. Polly was another Isabel Kramer pattern, and I did this in some, it wasn't a big box store type yarn. It was Silky Tweed by Elizabeth Laveled. Sorry, I can't even talk. You can blur your eyes and imagine with me how it was back in the day. See how it doesn't seem to want to go over my shoulders and do the shawl collar? Well, some of that has to do with the size of my arms, right? I'm bigger. But I think it was always this way because of those broad shoulders. Because my friends, knitting friends who have a sloped shoulder, this would fit them just fine. In fact, they might feel like there's too much fabric here. But for me, it didn't look quite right. I started running short of the Silky Tweed. This green was just 2 strands of Premier sock yarn held double. I got those from Joanne. It started to run short, and so look at those sleeves. They're just barely long enough. Are you starting to see a theme here? Trying to save a buck, being impatient, and finishing a knit before really seeing if the sleeves are long enough or if the body is long enough. I like these faux seams that she would have you put in, and it gave it a feeling of structure, even though it was seamless. And so many of these were seamless sweaters. My first one was not, but most of these that I've shown you are seamless, or else I knit them to be seamless. Collection I think that I saw that came out from Holliness was a summer collection, and this is when I started really doing summer sweaters. It was also my first time to use Knit Picks comfy fingering. I think this was fingering. I don't think this was sport. So, you know, it's just an oversized thing, but it's the kind of summer top, you know, you can wear it hanging off your shoulder. You've got your tank top under it. I wouldn't wear this underneath it. There's just a nice easygoing summer top and the ombre effect, plus this little honeycomb look just made it special. Everything in that collection I remember looking so cute, and there was Lilith Uboldi, I think is how you say her name. She designed a romper that to this day I think about. When I think about summer knits, I think about it so often. I'd really like to make it. Another one from maybe that first collection, the hollowback tank. So you've got this tank, and it's got this really great chevron zigzag pattern in the back, and I love these little buttons and flaps in the front. See, isn't this cute, this little closure down here? Really cute. And you know what? This isn't really bad over a long sleeve top. If I had a scoop neck top, this doesn't look bad as a vest in winter. I could totally do this. And it's light. This isn't bad at all. I should do this. I should be wearing this as a vest. The thing is, I don't wear this in the summer because it is, it was Louette Gems, I think. It's wool. There's no way. I'm just not going to wear this in the summer. It's too hot here. I would be disgusting. Making this again in Lindy chain would be awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad I tried this on because I'm just going to wear it as a vest in the winter. Here's another one also from Holliness. Katie knit this. Katie Canavan designed this. And I just remember, I don't even remember how I started this, like how the design went, the construction. I just remember that while I was doing it, I was going, huh? The whole time, which is fun. It's nice to try something that's totally different. I think I knit this down to here. I did the I-cord bind off and then picked up and knit the body. I don't remember. It's called finishing school because there's a lot of finishing to this, and you do some of the finishing before you're even finished with the sweater. This is a really good summer knit top, but here's the deal. It's done in Stroll Sport. So it's like a wool blend. There's no way I'm gonna, it's superwash wool. I'm never gonna wear this in the summer here, but I didn't really get it way back when. This was also, I think, one of the samples was knit in this. So, okay, so I've stretched it out a lot, but it was a cute little retro, it looked to me like a little vintage 50s top, and I think had I knit it, I actually think if this was knit in something that would drape and fall heavier like cotton, this would be awesome. Very wearable in the summer, at least like Lindy chain, I could wear this out in the heat walking around. Lindy chain is my new favorite summer yarn from Knit Picks. So I don't know if any of you are interested in older patterns or interesting patterns. This was one for sure. I would like to do this in real summer yarn and have a real sailor, retro sailor looking top. I think that would be cool. I did I can't find it. It was called Black Swan, but I took a sweater I found at Goodwill. I found a couple of these Isaac Mizrahi Target sweaters for a few dollars in this black at Goodwill, and I took one apart and I used it to make a headband from Goodnight Day, and I used it to make the Black Swan shrug. When you want yarn that's not Hobby Lobby, but that is affordable, this was, well, I don't know, it was $6.74 when it was discounted at the store, but it was probably $3 when I got it at Goodwill. It's called Moth Falter. Kind of dressy, like you could use it, you can wear it casually as a summer knit with a tank top under it, or it can look nice with this tight ribbing, and it blouses over it. Okay, so I think I showed you Knock Falter. I'm gonna show it again because my fly was open when I was, I think when I was showing it. This is the kind of thing that's maddening about doing a podcast. You know, you take a chance, you do this stuff that you are a little shy, you know, about being on a camera and stuff, and you spend 2 hours talking about 100 and something sweaters, and then you realize your fly's open, or you did dry shampoo on your hair and you have it all over your shoulders still, and it looks like major dandruff issues or something like that, or I put on mascara quickly and then my eyes started to water and I have Alice Cooper eyes the whole time. So anyway, Knock Falter was like, isn't that like night bats or something? I don't know. Really pretty lace pattern. And I like that this ribbed band, it's really tight. I mean, not too tight, but it's tight enough so that the lace blouses over it. I really like the way that looked. And so with a nice pair of pants or a skirt, it could be really dressy, and then a tank top under it. Let me step back here. This, of course, still fits. Really nice. I was really pleased with this. This is another summer collection Holliness top. It's called Just Beachy, but I called it just campy because I knit the entire thing on our way to Zion in Utah, where we hiked the Virgin Narrows, you know, where you go through the water and you wade through in places, and you've got the Slot Canyon that's super high and it's really narrow. It's beautiful. Very otherworldly. I love this pattern. It was done in Valley Yarns Goshen, and this was my intro to Goshen yarn. I really do love it for a knit. It doesn't pill up bad. It shows its wear, but it doesn't pill up, and I just love how this was knit. You have 3 balls going, one for the side, one for the front, the back. You have 3 going all the way up the front, all the way up the back, and then you seam them along the sides and at the top. And I don't know, the I-cord finish, this became one of my favorite ways to, did I turn for you? One of my favorite ways to finish necklines because it was just perfect. I wear this a lot in the summer. Lady Bat by Teresa Gregorio. It was a Holliness pattern. I did it for my daughter, and I really wanted one for me, but she said she wanted it, and she actually did wear it quite a bit. So I made one for me though right afterward, and I think I made the same size as I made for her because, you know, I am not as tall as her, but I am bigger than she is. So this looks really good with just a tank top under it. I like the neck. The edging is really just the side of the knitting, and it's one of those that are knit all the way across. It's an easy chevron mesh lace, and I don't know, it's just nice. It has kind of a dressy look to it, all this drapey ease. You can play with the sizing. If you gain a little, if you lose a little, it still looks good. So this was a big winner. I get compliments on it all the time. In fact, one of you finished knitting this because you saw me talk about it here on the podcast. Another Teresa Gregorio pattern through Holliness. I don't think I'm going to try to put this on. It is linen, made totally in linen. It's hempathy, actually. Hemp that this is knit in. And it's like a beach cover-up. And so you see the cute little seahorse ferrule. It just doesn't fit me anymore. The top would, but the body wouldn't. So I'm not even going to try to stay in this, slip into this, but you can see it's a really cute cover-up. Now I have to say, if I were to make, I wish when I'd made this, I hadn't worried about waist shaping hardly at all, and then it would still fit me. But I wouldn't mind making this again. I will say though, knitting it with hempathy was hard on my hands. Linen is a little tough. Since we're doing the whole Holliness thing, this is another Allison de Kaizen top, summer top. This was also knit in, this was Cotton by Knit Picks, so I wouldn't wear a long sleeve shirt under this, obviously. I loved this triangle geometric looking pattern, and it's nice. It's just a regular top, summer top. I wore it a ton. I'll probably wear it this summer too, with a tank top or something underneath. This is my last attempt at wool for a summer top. This top needs to be reknit. This is stroll fingering. I could do this in Lindy chain or comfy fingering. I love the tonal look in a stripe, but it's just not wearable very often at all. I'm either really hot here until the day it freezes, and then I'm really cold. But look at this racer back. That is great. In fact, I think I took an FO photo, turned around where the racer back on this showed. I think that was like on the front page of BuzzFeed one year, because it was really trendy. This is a cool top. So this deserves a remake. And you see the fit is really good. This could fit great oversized. You know, that looks great. An oversized top hang. You can have your bralette or your sports bra or something under it. But this was actually fitted, and it would look great. I mean, just a racer back top under it. I need to redo this one too. In fact, I'm going to put all the reknits in a special pile. This was by Allison de Kaizen. It's nice. It's oversized, and it looks good over a tank top. This is comfy fingering. I started one in comfy fingering blackberry colorway a few years ago, and I work on it every once in a while. I'm not as super motivated since I've already made this one, but it was meant to be a little more fitted. And in that same time period, it's the Roxbury Dolman, and I think it's by Courtney Kelly from Kelburn Knits. Before there was a Kelburn Knits, I believe. This was a knit scene one. Yeah, I still wear this. You can see a lot of pilling. It's also in Comfy Sport by Knit Picks. It's a dolman, but just barely a dolman because there's not too much to the sleeves. But it's really easy to wear. Yeah. I've worn this, probably this is one of the most well-worn summer tops that I've ever made. Around this time, it was about 2012, I wanted to knit a sweater for my husband, and this sweater came from, I think this came from Greetings from Knit Cafe, or else Weekend Knitting, one of those books. Let's see what it says. It's from the Greetings from Knit Cafe. And it is patterns held double, like 2 strands of that is it patterns? Yeah. That teal color from Patons held double. I got it at the, look, I'm going to put it on. This is super cozy. And I have to say, you know how there's the sweater curse? Well, we were already married, so. I called it the blessed sweater, though. Oh my gosh, I love this. See, now, all of these beautiful, perfectly fitted sweaters, well, perfectly fitted, you'll see later. The more modern I get with these, the more they fit me better. I totally would rather just wear this. Ugh, this is my style. I am a total schlepper. Okay, so anyway, this fits him well. It's got some ease on it with him, but he likes it because it's super long and it's very warm, because with 2 strands of worsted together, it's bulky. I have to say, he's worn this till it's super soft. When he wears it, it's when we go camping or do something outdoors when it's cold. We went camping a couple of weeks ago and he wore it every single day and to sleep because it was so cold. We weren't really prepared for it. So this has been well loved. It is covered in pills. I need to do the little pill shaver thing on it. It's gratifying to see somebody wear something you made quite so much. I mean, to see them wear it so much. This was Madeline Tosh. I did wear this a few times over a dress. I did this for Very Shannon's Downton Abbey knit along. It's that wispy cardigan by Knitbot or Handmade. So it's just kind of a barely there. Let me see. Yeah, almost like a shrug, but then it comes out. But anyway, it was a great use for, I think, 1 skein of yarn that I won in a contest, I think. One of my first indie dyers to find out about ever was Jinx Yarn. So Laura of Jinx Yarn. And she used to have organic yarns is what she dyed. And this is an organic fingering weight yarn. And it was called Faded Denim or something like that, old denim. And I got enough of it to make Jane Richmond's Georgia. I did get the sleeves long enough, and Georgia is a great pattern. I love this little, it almost looks like little pleats at the yoke, and if it's not stretched tight over you because it doesn't fit, but let's pretend it still fits. These little pleats are super sweet, and it's just a really nice, all these little buttons, it's just a really sweet classic cardigan. Another Holliness sweater. This is a winter sweater. It was called Jilted, but I did it with yarn I won in one of their knit-alongs from Roman Hills. Do you remember Roman Hills, the yarn dyer? It was called Don't Blink, and it was from that, or it was maybe called Blink, the yarn was. It was from that Doctor Who episode with the Weeping Angels. This is one of the, classic episodes of the modern Doctor Who era with David Tennant. I still wear this. I really like this sweater. I wouldn't mind having another, and I would make it to be oversized, I think. This drop stitch was so much fun. It's like screwing your knit up on purpose, and I liked that. And then a drop stitch down the side of each sleeve. This is a really great pattern. The yarn is very soft. Look, I've got something on it. Really soft, so it's very pilly. But oh my gosh, is this comfortable to wear. I did this in City Tweed by Knit Picks, so it's got some alpaca to it. This is going to get fuzzies all over my shirt. It was more oversized when I knit it. It's still got some ease to it, it's fine. But because of the length of it and the sideways cable, it wants to bunch up. because of the alpaca, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't hang like it could. I wish it was a little more oversized and fit me more like when I first made it, but that's okay. I mean, bodies change. It would be a good one to knit again. But see this, all these stitch patterns going up it? This is what I would call a sampler sweater, and it's knit side to side. I really do love that. You can see it's super pilly. City tweed is very warm, very pilly. And I find that only on the very coldest days do I wear it. And I usually end up having to take it off once I get inside a building. This is a really beautiful sweater. Here is that second or third Jane Richmond oatmeal that I knit. And I don't know if you can tell, but the raglan line is a traditional complete, like straight diagonal. I did this with Araucania Lewin, which is a thick and thin wool. It's like a single strand. I mean, it's like single spun. So it is really pilly. It's still comfy. And you know, the neck is open, but I like how it is with this lightweight, drapey, comfy yarn. So, and I made sure, you'll see my sleeves aren't usually short anymore. I love that texture. It's a very straightforward, simple shape, classic shape of a sweater, but that texture gives it something special. This was also by Alison DeKuysen. This came out in a Knit Picks book. I made a mistake though, like I always knit my sleeves different than the armhole it's supposed to fit in, and they didn't fit quite right. See, it doesn't fit right. And plus now it really doesn't fit me like it should, but you can see how it's a cute design. And had I knit it, well, first of all, was it my size, it would look good, but also, I don't know, you really can't see that now. I think it's just a matter of it not fitting me. I think maybe when I knitted it didn't quite fit me then either. So this is one I would definitely like to redo because I love a baseball style t-shirt. Hetty by Andy Satterland. This was my first Andy Satterland pattern. I think maybe I've knit 2 of her patterns. I did this for a Big Bang knit along with the Very Shannon group. I think this will fit me. If it doesn't, ugh, I don't want to stretch it, but I did this. We were doing things that were Big Bang themed, so I did this to look like Bernadette on The Big Bang Theory. And she wore tons of little dresses, you know, retro looking dresses, and tiny tops like this. So it worked. You can see this doesn't really fit well over my arms. I think this is still too small for me. I mean, I could wear it. Lots of people wear things this tight, but I'm not comfortable in it. I used every single inch of the yarn for this. I used Jinx Organic Merino, and I think the colorway was called Bamboo. She discontinued the organic stuff long before she closed her shop. Because it was organic and non-superwash, I could spit splice things together to do the final cast off row. Now, the other thing I did for that knit along was the Sexy Vesty by Teresa Gregorio, which was one of the first patterns I saw on Ravelry that I wanted to make. And I did it for Penny. Because the low cut, to me, it looked kind of like something Penny would wear. It was really just an excuse to make this vest. But it does seem like something she would wear. And this is a great vest. Now, she didn't have it in all the sizes. I think she just had it kind of like for one size and you could modify it yourself. It wasn't really a pattern. It was free. It was a recipe, but goodness, I am so glad I finally made this. It's one of those classic patterns that a lot of people made on Ravelry, and look at this fit. This is a great knit. And I don't normally like fitted things, but like I said, these vests, I've noticed every fitted vest I've put on, I guess because my arms are free to flail, I am so comfortable in the vest. So see, I'm learning things right now. I'm almost out of the Holliness era because I pretty much knit strictly stuff from those collections. This was a pattern by Ron Strong, and it was based on a classic like 40s era sweater, Farrell sweater pattern. I don't know if this is going to fit me now. And it's got major puff sleeves. You see them? They were hard to get right. I really felt like I was just fiddling around, and somehow I eventually made it work. And honestly, I don't know if they even look right. This isn't the best puff though. I heard that Amy, is it Apple or Appel from Poison Girls, that she's got really great tutorials for her puff sleeves. It does have that older fit though right here. Like, you know, I can't flail the arms, so that's like a strike against a sweater. If I can't flail wearing those arms, I don't need to knit the pattern. Inland is a pattern by, I think this one was Shannon, no, this is Jane Richmond, but this is when she started working with Shannon Cook for collaborations. And I just loved so many of the patterns, and this was from Journey. This was one I always just wore open anyway. I never buttoned it. But these are really cute square buttons. I probably should have made it a size larger if I wanted to, but I don't know though. I mean, it really fits in the shoulders. It fits correct. Maybe I should just block it out more. But anyway, it's knit in bulky knit picks. I like this wallaby colorway. These pockets are the best. This is my favorite pocket to have made in anything. I love the way this looks. I knit this just for the pockets with these buttons. Il Grande Favorito. And I did, instead of doing a stockinette stitch front, I copied someone on Ravelry and did a garter stitch front, which required just a little bit of modifications. Now, I use Knit Picks Revelry yarn, so it is super pilly, super fuzzy. I wore this to the Hohi and Vera Knit America thing, and I'm thinking, oh, nice and warm, and it's winter, and I get there and I look down and I'm like, I'm a schleppy mess. It did seem to take forever to get it long enough though. This Reverie is so lightweight, it just kept wanting to bloop, pop back up. This would be a good one to redo. It would be good in any kind of yarn. It doesn't have to be this. Or maybe worsted with a mohair strand held with it. It would give it the same feel. Agnes. Who is Agnes by? Melissa Labar. Yeah, I did this for a summer sweater knit along. Yeah, this isn't bad. This still fits. I think it fits. I kind of would like it to be a little more, I don't think I'd like the pockets, because let's face it, if your hands are in the pockets, they're showing out the bottom. But maybe if it was just a, like a muff almost underneath this, it would hold its shape better. I don't know. What do you guys think? The fact that it's kind of boxy, or it's supposed to be, it would be if it had a little more ease on it. It's kind of boxy. It makes the blockiness of the pockets, it kind of hides the blockiness of the pockets. I think my last Isabel Kramer one to try was Ravello. It still fits. I would like it. I would like another one that's more oversized. But you know, she has so many patterns out that I could literally choose any of them, and so many of them really lend themselves to being oversized if you want them to be. So I have a ton queued that I could make, so I figure I won't re-knit something I already made. Like On the Beach is one I want to make pretty bad. This was an interesting color combo for me. It was new, and this was a point probably about 2013 where I was trying to use different colors than I normally did. This is Stroll Tweed, and I really like these colors together. There we go. Really nice together. I think this is my most favorited pattern on Ravelry. This had, I just happened to notice when I was looking through this, 814 hearts, which is not normal for me. I think it's the color combo, though, that did it. You know, something I've been thinking as I look through all these sweaters is it would be really cool, the ones that I can still wear, if I went and I made, if I can find the yarn, the matching yarn or some matching yarn, made socks to go with them. So I could totally use Stroll Sport in these colors and make striped socks that match Ravello. Antirors. This was from one of the Shannon Cook and Jane Richmond. Probably it was from Journey. It was from one of their collaborations. I don't know if this is going to fit me great. This is 2 strands of worsted held double. It was a pampas heather from Wool of the Andes. And yeah, it's a little too fitted. And it's very heavy. Like if I had just used Knit Picks Bulky, I didn't have any at the time and I wanted to make it right then. If I had just used that, this would be lighter weight. But like as it is, I feel like I need to pull it away from my body. There's plenty of room. It shouldn't be clinging like it is, but I think it's the weight of it that feels this way. Anyway, I love this button front. This is like a one row buttonhole. Very cool method. I really enjoyed that. So this is kind of fitted looking on me. I don't know that it's supposed to look this fitted. It fits. It's not uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable. It's just heavy. I'll probably get over it. This is a really great sweater and I'd like to wear it more. I did get the sleeves long enough. I'm not even going to try to put it on. Well, I'll go ahead and try. I wore this, I knit this smaller size, probably too small. Yeah, it's super tight. Because I had a giant skein of Dirty Water Dye Works Clara in this Grello colorway. And I really wanted to make it work. So I needed to knit this small size. This is kind of like the caramel with the open front that flaps, flops open, but this has pockets. And I do feel like these pockets worked for me. They don't, because of this open front folding, the pockets don't stick out. They don't look weird. But these sleeves are just too tight. So I would have, if I didn't want to do any special modifying, I would have needed to knit the size up, which would totally have looked good. I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Tweed and Flagstone, and then that Dirty Water Dye Works colorway. And it is a great, look at the colors. Look at the tonal nature of that Clara yarn. It's really nice. But I just can't wear it anymore. So it's a kind of a shame. And this little chevron pattern is really nice on the front. Geez, when I knit this, I don't know that I was that different in size than I am now. I feel like this shrunk. Oh. I got a side stitch. Oh. I coughed. I got a side stitch. It feels great. It's actually not too bad because I can do the flailing. I just don't think I'm going to wear something in city tweed alpaca wool that doesn't cover my arms. Either my arms will be too cold or my body will be too hot. To take a big breath. Did I have this on inside out the whole time? I'm not doing it again. No, I didn't. Okay. When my husband and I went somewhere for our anniversary, but really it was for me to rest and to get away after my grandparents moved into assisted living because I was exhausted from moving all their stuff and helping them adjust and getting them all situated with the help they needed. So we took a week. We went on a trip. On that trip, I had started this sweater and I was doing the intarsia front. Isn't this awesome? I was doing the intarsia front on the way. It's Tiny Owl Knits Oh My Bear sweater, and it's like a one size thing. And I did it to be oversized, and it is oversized. But one thing I learned is that when I knit sleeves in the round, I just knit them, like magic loop them, I knit them at a tighter gauge. So the body was a looser gauge than the sleeve, and so you got a more fitted sleeve, and it kind of, the way it does it, it makes it inch up like this. So I think, honestly, if I took these sleeves off and I reknit them at a looser gauge and put them back on, that this drop shoulder would be drop shoulder. And it's coming up like it's a set-in sleeve. So that's something I need to fix because I adore this sweater. My first time to do intarsia, totally worth it. It looked like a mess, but we stopped at a hotel on the way to Tennessee and I steam pressed the face, and all of a sudden Smoky Bear appeared. We were in the Smoky Mountains, so it was extra meaningful. And even the whole time we were there, we took photos, finished photos and everything. I did marathon knitting around the campfire. I think this is one of my last Holliness patterns to show you. It's the Everett Henley. I'm not going to put it on because I will mess up these sleeves. They're too tight. It's really great though. It's a great pattern. I love the Henley shape. I love this rounded body. Edge, hem edge. Well, let me just see if it works. I'm pretty sure it doesn't fit me anymore though. It looked like a lot of the tank tops people were making out of oversized t-shirts and cutting them and tying knots. That summer it was a big deal. My daughter and I did it to a bunch of old themed shirts. This actually works really great with a sports bra on. It's not going to show well because of the dark shirt I'm wearing, but you can see this looks really cool with a sports bra under it, like a racerback lace bralette or sports bra. Looks really cool. It's knit and Knit Picks comfy fingering. Oh my gosh, would this be nice though? A little oversized and flowy in Lindy chain. It would be so much easier to wear. But I did wear it walking around Galveston Island all day, one day this summer. The Oud Tank by Sarah Hurwitz. I think this looks really cute with retro looking pleated pants. This fits. I wear this every summer at some point. The collar is a little hard to get right. Like if I press it, it looks better. Pretend I don't have this shirt on underneath. Yeah, it's cute. It's well put together. It's got a lot of structure to hold it together. The only issue I have is the rolling of the collar. Hillary Smith Callis, and I did several of these. So this is cropped. This one's not too cropped, but it's a great summer tank. I don't remember if it called for this or if I did it because I liked it on Just Beachy. The I-cord bind off around the arms and the neck, but I really like how that turned out. Anyway, it's really good. It fits with a tank. You can wear a regular bra, whatever under it. These are the kind of straps that allow you to have all your options. I knit another one then that's cropped, and I just did a raw edge sleeve. It's actually a little looser. I think it's because I did a raw edge. This is cute. This actually doesn't look bad with a long sleeve shirt under it. I just had the pattern down, and I just thought, why not use up some leftovers? And those were both knit in Goshen. Riverine by Andy Satterland. It was fitted when I knit it. I'd hate to stretch, well, yeah, it fits because it's meant to stretch, and it's kind of got that retro cropped look. Andy Satterland does so many patterns like that are sort of cropped, you know. I could wear it now. It's just Barocco Weekend and Weekend DK. It's just too heavy. When it's hot, I don't want anything like this. I would rather wear something like this. It's the same weight, but it's a little looser on my body. Alicia Plummer came out with Ease. I wanted that tonal look, and I couldn't afford any of the nicer tonal yarns in this amount. So it's Cascade hand paints, Cascade 220 hand paints, and it's in some colorway that was the least crazy variegated. And it is a winter staple for doing anything play or work like outside. I wear it all the time in the winter. I did the little toggle neck. I love this sweater. It's got room to move. I can do whatever I need to do. If I'm working or if I'm riding my bike or something, it's long enough so that I'm comfortable. It doesn't, if I'm riding my bike, it doesn't start riding up. The sleeves are super long. I can fold them back. Perfect outdoor in the winter kind of knit. I remember taking the photos, and my son helped me, and we were on the road, and I was waiting for people to get by, and then I would go stand in the middle of the road, and he was embarrassed. Featherweight. It's lace weight. And I do this a lot. I used a more affordable yarn with one Madeline Tosh yarn. So I wanted the tonal look, but I couldn't afford all this lace tonal, 3 different skeins. So I got one in Shire, Madeline Tosh Prairie, in the colorway Shire. This Shire was a more expensive yarn, but these two were Jaeger spun and very affordable. I could get plenty to make it a super long cardigan, and I love how long it is. The length is great. And it did have more ease when I knit it. So I did this for a Vine Yarns. It was like a knit along classic sweater cow, you know, something that was considered a Ravelry classic because lots of people had done it. And so featherweight is obviously one of them. And one of you said that you're featherweight. You've knit 2 sweaters and one is featherweight. And I'm sure it's a favorite for you too. It's very, very wearable. A lightweight, long cardigan like that. The other thing I did for that classic sweater knit along was the Elizabeth Zimmerman yoke sweater recipe. So I used her recipe and I made it to fit me with some ease. And I just used yarns I had. I don't love this color combo, honestly. I don't think it's contrasty enough. But I don't know if you can tell, but I knit little Totoros all the way around, and then I have the umbrellas for the bus stop scene. And it's called my bus stop pullover. And so it's just a regular classic fitting yoke sweater, and it's a really great fit. It was a lot of fun figuring out how to make the Totoro pattern work. There were lots of Totoro patterns with motifs that I could see free on Ravelry, but I had to change it up and kind of do my own to make it work all the way around the yoke and with the decreases. So I really enjoyed the challenge of that, and that was kind of a new era in sweater, you know, fiddling with my sweaters. So I'm planning on, at this point, going to Joji and Vera Knit America thing that I told you all about. And I once had never knit anything by Joji Locatelli. I just liked and faved, you know, all of her stuff. So I wanted to knit dragonflies because it's one I really love. And the hair gets worse. I definitely got my sleeves long enough. This is a great fit. I don't know if I made a modification. I feel like I saw Isabel Kramer's version and I did something that she did, but I don't remember what that is. This is a good fit for a sweater. Really good for a fitted sweater. And you know what? It actually doesn't feel like I'm gonna go crazy and start ripping and tearing things. So I don't know what it is, but the sleeves being fitted don't seem to bother me on this. Maybe I'm just tired from trying on 100 sweaters. This is in Valley Yarns, Northampton, and it's like olive colorway, and it's a really pretty heathered yarn. I don't know if you can see the variance in the heathering, but it's very pretty. Actually, I think it's prettier than the Patton's moss colorway that I used for my owl sweater. Then, of course, I had to knit a Vera Valmaki design. because I hadn't knit any of hers. I don't think I had knit a sweater by her. Now, I love this sweater. 2010 that I'm fixing to put on, I love it. I like it as is, and I wear it this way, even though it doesn't have sleeves, which feels like counterintuitive in the winter to me. I love the way it buttons diagonally. And I tell you what, I really, really realized as I was taking out all these sweaters, I want to re-knit this, and I want to do one with sleeves. There's one on Ravelry that's so cute with sleeves. There's no way I can't just continue these sleeves all the way down. Really great pattern. I love this collar. And it's got that split collar look that I like. Kind of a moto vest look. It's really a great pattern. This is a great design. A couple more Holliness designs here. I wear this every winter. I did this in the Knit Picks palette comfrey colorway. It's called Cafe au Lait, and I think Kirsten Jewell designed this. And it's just a really great oversized knit. I usually don't wear it buttoned, but I can. It buttons. It's very functional. A little bit of a dolman sleeve, which is great for when you feel like you're going to panic if your arms have a tight sweater on them. And it goes with a lot of things, and it can look really dressed up, or it can be very casual. So this is a winter favorite for me. And you can tell I've worn it a lot. There's also this one by Katie Canavan, the Julep Jacket. This is cute. It's really, to me, really vintage looking. It's got that open front. It needs to be pressed. It's been folded up. But I love this little dragonfly or butterfly stitch. I don't remember which it was called. I think it was called a dragonfly stitch. So you can see it's a really cute cropped sweater. This would work for the Big Bang knit along too. And it's in that Lake Chelan colorway from Cascade, which is a really great heathered blue green. Oh, this is cute. This didn't fit me last year, but I think it does now. Put it in the to-wear pile. A day. I knit this one winter. A friend online knit hers, and she did it in like 3 days or something and wrote about it on her blog, and I thought, ooh, I have time. I want to make one of those. I use Knit Picks Brava, so it's super pilly. But this is basically like my house coat. I wear this a lot in the winter around the house, and I've given myself permission to junk it up if I want to enjoy it. This is a surreal, oh, did I show you the back? It's a really great cable pattern. I love it, the extra long length. This is probably the most popular Cerealia Rose pattern that I've seen on Ravelry. But you know, she did a version of that Rockefeller cardigan that I used Nantucket and Rockefeller and did it by Twinkle Knits. She did a version of that. That was really cool. I just thought about that. Anyway, Knit Picks Brava, it's acrylic, completely acrylic yarn, but it's very soft. It's not like Grandmommy's acrylic Afghans. And it pills up really bad. Maybe regular wool would too, as much as I wear this. I just love this. I feel so cozy in it right now. I don't want to take it off. I'm going to leave it over my chair. One I did for the summer sweater knit along. I call it Lund or Linden. So if you've watched The Killing, you know Sarah's last name is Lund in the Norwegian version and Linden in the American version. And I've never watched the Norwegian version. I think it's Norwegian because I don't want to stop knitting to read subtitles. But I could because I did dark. I just need to get a sock or something and watch it. This is just like pretty much a sweater that Sarah Lund wears in the original version. I don't think they have Sarah Linden wear one like this in the new one, but I had seen the pictures and I really loved it. I also saw a version that was super oversized and made with like mohair yarn. I really like it. I did a lot of fiddling with it. I used the same body pattern. I'm sorry, not the same pattern, but the same stitch count. I began with the same stitch count as I did for ease. And then I just improvised from there in every way. And I think that's kind of special because this is that traditional snowflake pattern you'd see on a lot of ski sweaters and stuff. And it looks kind of Norwegian, right? But I did it in a tonal yarn. I happen to have some Sweet Georgia bulky yarn. It wasn't enough to knit anything by itself, but as the tonal stripes, it's awesome. I really am proud of this sweater. It's my second thing I think to look at and totally just figure out on my own, but my first thing probably from seeing it on somebody else, like on TV. You know, it's kind of fun. I told you I did a lot of test knitting for Tara Lynn Morrison, and I'm even kind of hesitant to show some of these because they aren't the way I would have liked them to be. When she asked me to test knit, it was like in a rush. And so I used whatever yarn I could find cheap at the time. It's not like I was saving for a lot of bulky knits or cotton, so, or whatever. Sweater's worth of anything. So I just made do with what I had or searched for something affordable. And of course she was using really great thick and thin yarn at the time, and I didn't have anything like it. But this was the Kingston, I believe. No, this is Perth cardigan. And now it looks good. This is Infield by Valley Yarns. They don't sell it anymore. It looks fine. It's nice. I've worn it a lot. I get compliments on it, but it doesn't have that interest that thick and thin yarn does. I also would have liked it if it was a bulky yarn or super bulky yarn. I did a couple other things for her that are really going to look silly over this shirt. Stratford halter. My husband's going to walk in and say, "What are you doing?" Look at all these. I didn't weave in ends. I was knitting these at top speed just to make sure they all worked. Test knitting them. This is, and this also doesn't fit me. It's too big. First thing that was too big. Oh my gosh, though, I love this. I'm going to redo it. This is a Rowan All Seasons cotton. This is so nice feeling. So much nicer than like sugar and cream, and it feels like it will keep kind of a suede, soft look to it. Whereas, you know, some cotton gets really pilly and cheapy looking. This looks really nice, and I put it on like as if it were a halter. If it is, as long as it fits, it really fits. It would work. I really like this Janae yarn too. This is very easy to customize because of the straps. This is cute. It works. Janae, it's acrylic cotton. It has a similar feeling to All Seasons, so it's better than most of the cottons I've worked with. This is horrible. I'm selling this pattern for you, Tara. The little I-cord straps were really cute and fun to make on both of these. I do like this one though because you can adjust it. I never really know with cotton how much it's going to stretch. See, this is cute. This is a cute little summer top. You could wear it over something if you were modest like me. But no, I wouldn't recommend you wear it over this. Yeah, so it went to this book, which you can always get online from her, but I don't know about copies. She might have more out. Let me just show those two tops, not over a sweater or a t-shirt. This is how the Perth cardigan can look. And I just like this version better than the one I made because the yarn is just, it's got more texture to it. I did another one called Welland for this, and it looks really great in here. It's a dolman sort of shape. And I couldn't find anything on short notice that I could afford. So I didn't really like. See, here's the Leeds halter, the first one I tried on. So cute, really cute. And this is the Welland that I did, and I didn't like the way it looked. It didn't have any drape to it. It was just like, since that, which was like in, what, 2014 or something, I have found so many more when I went to knit her Strathcona, so much more at an affordable price than I knew to find before. Here's another summer top. I did, it's a Holliness top, Teresa Gregorio. It's called Beach House. I did this in pure linen. Well, no, maybe it was a linen cotton blend, but it was Willow Yarns. It was called Willow Yarns was the name. Anyway, it's really a cute summer top. I wore this also this summer. This one is one, especially with linen, you can wear it over anything, your swimsuit or a tank top. You can wear it all day in the heat, and it's like wearing nothing. I think the details on Beach House, the way this, right at the collar at the back, is more of a, it's less open weave, and you can see this little pleat in the back. Anyway, this is one of my favorite summer knits. I did a couple of, I did a Kingston sweater also for Chairlyn Morrison, and I got a thick and thin yarn, but I hated it. It actually ended up not being kind of variegated. It was striping. It was terrible, but it worked for test knitting, but I didn't keep it. Blowing Snow with Midwestern Knits, which this was probably in, I don't know, 2016 maybe? I need to figure in broad shoulders. So it's okay. It really is. It works with the shawl collar. But I do sometimes feel like it wants to slip off my shoulders. And I think that has to do with the width of my shoulders. Like, that's a measurement between my shoulders that needs to be central to my picking sizes on sweater. And this is a great pattern, isn't it? This was knit by Emily Ringelman. I mean, it was designed by her. And it's knit in that Patton's tweed, Iran tweed. So it's got little blue and black flakes, which is kind of extra wintry looking. Another one from that collection was by Hope Vickman, and I wanted this as soon as I saw it. I wouldn't mind having another one of these not in city tweed. I think I need to not knit in city tweed anymore. I have a little bit in my stash. I don't know if it's enough to make a sweater, but it probably needs to be the last I buy of this. I do think it makes the warmest sweater ever. I just don't think I need that where I live. I really love this neck. This is why I wanted the furrowed pullover. Look at that neck. Isn't that awesome? And you see it's really long. I mean, I could have made it shorter. I could have made it like this. Totally. But I wanted it to be nice and long. However, I lose a little of that tunic look to it because something about the alpaca, it wants to cling. The cabling was beautiful on the front. It's not as distinct, though, as it could be because of the city tweed, that alpaca. And this is a beautiful jacquard colorway. This is one I wore yesterday. Jane Richmond's Clark pullover. When I saw this, I knew it had to be mine. It's a great fit. Still fits. I probably knit this 3 years ago. I remember knitting on it while I was working in the concession stands for Friends of Soccer. This is Stroll. It's like a mint color. I think it's called Sage and Aurora Heather, maybe. I would love to have socks that match this. And honestly, this looks so cute. I have some mint Adidas, and it looks really cute with the Adidas. It's not important at all. So this is a classic for me. I could have another one or two. Cherry pie, I can't find it. You know why? It's in the special hiding place where I put things I want to fix, like that sweater I want to dye. But I'll show you a picture. Yeah, I loved the motif on cherry pie. My cherry pie was the first sweater I decided, okay, my weight's been all over the place. I mean, by all over the place, 10, 15, even 20-pound jump, and then back down some, and then back up. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to knit something that will fit me right now. I don't want to live like waiting for a day where I finally know what's safe to knit all my sizes. I just wanted to have something right then that fit me. I felt really good about doing it, and it looked cute. I even installed a zip in it, but it's really long. And with the zipper, when I started losing weight, it did not look right. Where it's supposed to cling to my body and be like negative ease, because it didn't cling, the zipper just kind of was like all wavy. It just looked weird. So I thought, okay, I could take the zip out. I could rip from the bottom up to about here and just knit it straight and install a different length zipper. Maybe not make it so long, but it could be a straight cardigan. And in fact, I think installing a zipper for that would be easier. And I was going to do it one of these days. I did it in Patton's wool, but I have no clue where where that is right now since the great home organizing of 2018 and 2019. So one day. I did another cardigan called, I think it's been renamed Robin, by Allison DeKaizen. It was so cool looking, such a cool looking cardigan, and I used Malabrigo. I don't know where it is at all. Plomo and I think Parisian Nights or Persian Nights. Really beautiful color combo for striping. Really neat graphic design on it. But the way I didn't wear it much because it didn't look, everyone's didn't look this way, but it kind of, the sleeves did belled out, and they belled out almost like I had starched them flat. So they like, it was strange the way they poked out, and the same with the sides, maybe because of the way it's folded in my wardrobe, but they just stuck out. I noticed other people who knit theirs way more oversized. It kind of was flowy and hung from their bodies, but mine just looked pressed and starched and strange. This is Annie Rowden's Morning Mist. I do wear this in the summer. You can see the back. It's a beautiful little pattern, and you knit from the center out on each side, and then you attach. This was my first Lindy chain knit, and I love this. I love the way this feels. This feels so natural on me. It's been washed a few times, and you know, Lindy chain just feels better the more you wear it. And this lace is holding up really well. May is another one I knit. One year, those were both knit for a summer sweater knit along. May I did in some beautiful yarn. I think it's called Nantucket, from Nice and Knit. Nice and Knit. They, am I doing this right? Yeah. This is a Bristol Ivy pattern, and so it has a shawl collar, which looks really cool. And this is brioche, I believe. Is this brioche? I can't remember. I don't think it is brioche. I think it's some kind of ribbing. I hadn't learned brioche yet. So it's just really awesome design with the shawl collar and the ribbing. This is a Melski pattern from 6 Bits, I think, called Canyon. And I did this also in Willow Yarns, and it's similar colors to what she did, but this coral is so crazy coral. It was very popular in 17 or 16 when I knit it, but it is a very neon coral. This is cute. I wear this still in the summer. This was by Valentina Strachina. Yeah. She called it Shannon, and she might have named it, I believe, after Shannon on a very Shannon, because she knit it during one of our summer sweater knit along. She designed it. And I knit this probably the next year for a summer sweater knit along. Anyway, I did this in Cotland. This is super nice. I mean, this looks really good. But you see how it has a little flow to it? That's so much more comfortable in the summer. And this pattern, isn't this cute? Can you see it? Yeah. It's a really nice motif on the back. Still wear it every summer. And then there was Appalachian knits. Jennifer Kelly and Christina Danahy from, she's now, Christina with Wolves on Instagram, and she's got a book out she just released. I saw it in Michael's too. It was Modern Heritage Knit. But she and Jennifer did their Appalachian Knits collection together, and I've knit several things from it, and this looks better without a shirt under it. But this top is called, I think it's Kenton. I'm confusing it with the other. Jennifer designed both of these, and it has she designed two, that I knit. It has that pattern all the way down the back. I'm pretty sure this is Kenton. And it flows really nice. It looks really pretty. Wear it with shorts. It's in Lindy chain, totally comfortable. It's a nice tee. And it kind of looks dressed up. It's like if it's nicer than wearing a t-shirt when I go someplace. I want to look a little bit nicer. Water Rock. This is Water Rock, yeah. I can't find it. It's in my closet because all my summer tops, knit tops, are in there, but they're like hung over. They're folded over the edge of a coat hanger, and it's really hard to find them because things are packed in there. I have a tiny little old house closet. So Kenton was really cool. I did it in Rowan denim, and I love the way it looks. It doesn't fit me great. I'm gonna put in a picture because it's super cute, and I would love to knit another one in a larger size. Here is another Jane Richmond. This is probably my last Jane Richmond thing. No, I'm working on Winston right now, but this is Fireside. I wore this like 2 days ago. It still fits really well because I just made it like a couple of years ago. I forget what year, maybe 2017. I love the construction of this collar. It's a really neat construction, and I love the way this ribbing looks just on the yoke area. Really cool. So it was really affordable, and it is fitted. It is a fitted sweater, but it doesn't have to be. You wouldn't have to knit it fitted. It could have a little more ease to it, but I got the length right. Another one I did around that time period was Gingerbread by Libby Johnson. Truly Myrtle. And okay, I didn't choose the best yarn. This yarn is very kind of fuzzy. It has a little cashmere to it, and so this bric-a-brac gingerbread pattern doesn't really show well in it, but oh my gosh, is it soft. We went on a trip backpacking, and I was the only person to bring a thin sweater. I didn't really want to bring this, wear this backpacking, and get it all dirty, but at night, oh my gosh, I was so grateful for it because it was so warm, the wool and cashmere content. So this is just a classic fit sweater. It's a really pretty color. This is Lana Grossa, Alta Fine, I think. And so yes, this pattern with the edging is not very clear or distinct because the yarn is all fuzzed up. This is one of the best necklines I think I've ever made. It's the perfect neckline. It's not hanging off. It's not too close. It is the perfect, comfortable neckline for me. That's that and the softness of this yarn and the classic shape. That's what I love about this sweater. In fact, I had yarn for another one and I realized it was almost the same color. So I didn't want to do that. Okay, so one of my most worn sweaters, because of the half cotton, half wool, is the Julia sweater. I noticed Wool and the Gang has a print catalog, I guess, for Christmas out, 20% off. And so I'm looking through and just seeing, it's so weird to see online companies go back to print catalogs. And I see this picture of the Julia sweater. And it's in a pink yarn. I didn't knit mine in Wool and the Gang yarn. This is Classic Elite Chesapeake. But I showed my husband this picture and I go, ew, I hate this. Do you like this sweater? It's so ugly. I don't even talk like that normally. So he should have known. He looks at it and he goes, well, Yeah, it's kind of sloppy. I said, hang on. And I went back to my room and I put on my Julia sweater I knit. And I'm like standing just like the girl. I'm like, now what is it? It's wet, it's sloppy. So you think I look sloppy? He's like, you tricked me. You tricked me. My daughter said, that's mean. You can't do that to people. But I can. Isn't this nice? This I achieved maximum oversized comfy fit and I love it. I wear it all the time to the movies, all year round. It's like my choice for the theater because it's cool but it's not too cold. And this yarn is really great. It's actually not very pilly considering how much it's been worn. Then I started knitting some patterns by an online friend whose blog I had been reading and I kept up with on Ravelry and Instagram, Alina Schneider. I don't think I test knit this. I think I just knit it after she did it. I feel like I test knit something for her though. I don't remember what. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need?
I was going to do this while you do that.
Well, there's plenty of sweaters you can sit on. We can make furniture out of sweaters, just like on SpongeBob. This is called reindeer. I'm talking to you. Why aren't you listening? You're not looking. I want you to look. Look, I have just these 2 boxes of sweaters left.
That's all.
That's all. Just watch. No, this one's called reindeer. It's just a perfect open front cardigan, goes over everything, easy to wear. I did it in Malabrigo Arroyo, which is their sport weight yarn. The only thing about it was it started to, see the little details on the sleeves. It's a great yarn, but it started to pool and it looked kind of weird. So I had started maybe not alternating, or maybe I was alternating. Look at this. Oh, y'all. I'm still doing it. I've worn this for years now, a couple of years, 3 years maybe 4 years, almost 4, just like that. Boy, there's no hiding it. You know, you think no one's ever gonna know, and then you spaz and pull your sleeve inside out on a podcast episode. Like right here, what it was one of my, I was alternating and doing fine, and then all of a sudden one of my skeins was crazy different purple than the rest, and so you can see it here. But I went ahead and I alternated some, and that's just gonna have to do. No one's ever noticed that. In fact, I've never noticed how bad it is until I had it in this weird lighting in here. Great, I'm a total failure. All right. This one was the next one I did for her. Not for her, of hers. I didn't do this for her. She's so grateful that I knit this sweater for her. No. This is Journey. Y'all, it's kind of like, remember how I said Beatnik was so important to me because it was the most cabled, wonderful sweater? Well, when I saw this, I wanted to do it in another kind of a mustard color. This is Wool of the Andes tweed brass. My husband's just making a lot of noise because he's home now because this took me all day. I did this super long so I could wear it like over leggings or whatever and feel modest. It does want to do the clinging thing, even though it's really oversized, but that's cool. It looks good. Look at these sleeves. I did them so I can totally do this if I want, but I made them to fold back, and I think she did that in the pattern. I think she had it designed that way. And I like this neckline. I think this is a good neckline. I don't like close fitting usually. So I'm pretty happy with this sweater. I wear it all the time. And I get compliments on it too when I wear it. I knit the edge. And this is where the story of my daughter dissing my knits finally changes. I knitted for me and I was short on yarn. That's the one I did as a test knit, I think. I think that was the test knit. I was short on yarn, and stop it! Sorry. My dog's eating my plant and she's not supposed to. I didn't have enough yarn to make a medium, so I made a small, and it's supposed to have some ease to it, but it's the kind of sweater I'd really like to have a lot of ease, like that Julia sweater that I tricked my husband with. But I went ahead and made the small using Cascade Eco, I believe. And I loved those big 3D cables. Oh my gosh, I loved it. My daughter really liked it. She goes, "You ought to make one for me," and she hinted. Well, when I was finally done with it, I'd taken photos. I started thinking, I think that's the year I knit her husband a sweater, which I'll just talk about it right now too. The Cobblestone Sweater by Jared Flood. It's an old one from an Interweave catalog magazine that I had from like 2005 or something. I thought I could give her the sweater because I wanted to make another one anyway that was larger. So I did give it to her and she loved it. She still hasn't sent me a picture of her wearing it, but I do know that she's worn it because she told me. This is Alina's. Alina Schneider's Heritage, I think, was the name of this one. And it's so cute. This is very, this is I think Valley Yarns, dyed by Madeline Tosh. Or no, this is just Madeline Tosh yarn. 80-10-10 Sport, and it was on sale. So again, I didn't have a lot of it, so I made 3/4 sleeves. But I did do a size that I feel good about, and I do feel really good about this size. This fits. This would look really cute oversized. This ribbing draws it in, I think. It draws it in on me a little. It looks good though. But being 80-10-10 with that cashmere content, it is so pilly. I really need to run a sweater saver over this. It's major pilly, but it's a very pretty tonal gray. So now we're getting into my year of oversized baggy sweaters. That started with the Weekender. I wanted to make the perfect baggy sweater. This doesn't feel right. This shirt underneath is making it tough. I feel like though the neck hole for my Weekender is kind of odd. This like straight across cut, but that's correct. Yeah, I've got it on right. Anyway, this is totally comfortable, and there's a lot of ease to it. This is knit with patents. I don't remember the color. It's comfortable, and especially for a big oversized sweater, if you use a more affordable yarn, you know, I don't know, you can go as big as you want with it. You don't have to worry about your budget as much. I did the bulky easy one next. I didn't do bulky. I actually used that pattern, but I made the triple XL because I was using a much smaller yarn. I used worsted weight yarn, and you can see the little tweedy neps, and that way I would get a really oversized sweater, and I have one. So this is super comfortable. It's as comfortable as the Julia sweater. The only reason I don't wear it more is because it is 100% wool, and there's not as much need to wear wool here. My biggest shame is my birch sweater still don't have those ends woven in. But you know, you see I haven't on a lot of these, so I may as well just skip it and tuck them in. This is one of my favorite fitting sweaters that I made. This is stupid. I'm gonna leave it out and do it this weekend. Boy, I can really see in the camera the striping effect of using the older skein of Patton's moss or olive or moss, whatever it's called, and the newer one. But oh well. This is a really great, it's got that Icelandic yoke look to it. Everything from that Pam Allen book that I got this from, Plain and Simple, everything in it is awesome. There's definitely 2 more things I really want to make out of there. Don't you like this, Adam? Don't you like this?
Yeah,
Do you
I've always liked that.
You've always liked it?
I've always liked
Did you like it every time I wore it?
Every time.
Come here.
How many times have you worn it?
You like it every time I wore it?
How many times have you worn it?
He said he likes it every time I've worn it.
How many times?
Every single time I've worn it, he liked it.
I liked it when I took your pictures of it.
You took those pictures in Iceland?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! You were in Iceland?
Yes.
He lies. He lies, and he deserved me tricking him about the Julia sweater. You know, when you've got a yes person around you and you can't get a straight answer, it's okay to have a little fun with them. That's what I say. It's payment for the uncertainty you must feel. I haven't done a lot of summer sweaters in the last few years, but Zara, definitely one of my favorites. I just love the way this fits. And of course, this isn't the greatest top for it to be over. You've probably seen the photos. I hope I'm flashing photos. I hope I will have time to flash photos of all these, but if not, oh my gosh, editing this is kind of a nightmare. Are you eating yet?
No.
Is that a lie too? Okay, then I did Junko Okamoto's plum, which I love. And it was kind of like that Henri sweater by Anne Leachman. It was like a sampler. And I've told you all about this. You can turn it where the front is straight and the back has the V, or the other way around. I want to knit another one of her patterns soon. I want to do it in, I have some Elena yarn that's lighter than this. It's the natural white wool, or off-white wool. And I got, and it's not going to be this pattern. It's going to be a different one with color work. And I got some of Atelier Sarah Jane's dyed. It's kind of a red color. It's called Edge. Elena, to do the ferrule with. So normally I would probably just get a little bit of Elena to make the sweater and then use whatever I have in my stash as the color, contrasting color. But when I saw she was dyeing that, and it's such a really great vivid color, I wanted to use it. So I'm hoping, I don't remember the name of the one I want to make, but I think I'll really enjoy that. So anyway, here's Plum. You've probably seen it. The back with the V. I've worn it lots, and everyone thinks this is so chic when I wear it. I kind of thought some people might think it was a little sloppy, but you know how that oversized is the style, and I know it's not sloppy. The ends of these sleeves were different. The cabling, the ribbing, the lace. The ferrule pattern is really great of plums. Everything about this is awesome. The reversible nature of it, it's totally a win. I wanted to get my fit right on it, but I was limited and I was risking it. I had, I think it was 3 skeins of a Knit Picks Hawthorne discontinued colorway called Knob Hill, which I really liked. It's this purple color. And then I have plenty of Pearlescence, which is the off-white. And I just really wanted to make sure I had enough to do this pattern. And I thought, you know what, if I can just get through the body, I could always do the sleeves in the white. But I really wanted them to be in the Knob Hill. And I did have enough. This is by Annie Lupton, Boho Chic Fiber Co. This is a great pattern. I mean, I was so proud. I feel like as a ferrule knitter, this is probably the neatest ferrule I've done. And it looked almost this neat when I finished it. Even before blocking, it looked this nice. It worked with the amount of yarn I had. So weighing the amount of yarn versus the kind of yarn you want to use, it was worth it to do a slightly smaller size than I might have wanted. Caitlin Hunter. My first Caitlin Hunter design to knit was Sunset Highway. My only mistake, I think, is that I should have gone up a needle size when I got out of this yoke. There was so much going on. It's such a thick fabric. And then I went down to just 1 strand of fingering weight yarn, and it clings to my body. And I don't know if you can tell, it clings to my body more than I think it should. I saw a lot of people's doing this, and I think Nessa of Kill to Craft talked about going up a needle size on hers. So I did not intend for my sweater to be this long. I meant for it to be right about here and wide. I didn't knit it this long. It's just doing this. It's just clinging to me for some reason. So I can try, and you see they there's almost like a Swan armhole there. So it really needs to be out wider. Ooh, that's pulled kind of thin. I would have been happier with it if it weren't so fitted. And these are really nice colors, are special to me. So the main body color is a color called Digital Bath by Homespun House, and I think she has had some in her shop recently. And now that I started a couple of years ago, and it took me like a year to finish it. This is one I just knocked out quick before last Christmas by Libby Johnson for a test knit. It's called Beatniks. I messed up my gauge a little, but it turned out okay. The yoke is not as deep as it should have been, but that's okay. It still fits. My gauge just got off. I got excited knitting. This is to me it was a great winter top. It fits good. It's got a good neck. You know, she did that gingerbread that I said was one of my favorite necklines. Well, you know, she did this one too. It's not quite the same neckline, but I really like it. I feel like I've knit more. What I've knit is a lot of shawls from her. But I do feel like I've knit more sweaters from her. I have several queued up to knit. I saw that Shannon Cook was going to do test knitting for a capsule, and I really wanted to do it when I had seen the photos come out. So this is a really great cardigan. I would say this is one of my most worn recent sweaters. The only thing I did wrong is that when I blocked for arm width, and the arms are a little shorter than I would have wanted. I do have more of this yarn though, and so what I just really need to do is unpick the ends and add an inch to the sleeves, and it's perfect. I'm just nervous. It's been a while since I knit this. That's not a broken rib. I don't remember what the textured knit is called, but it's been a while and I don't want to mess it up. I could, however, rip back and just make a really long rib. That's probably what I'm going to do. Oh, isn't this a great length? These pockets, they're the best actual useful pockets. I like inland and I like these, and it's the best I've done on pockets. So this is a super great win for me, but I do need to lengthen those sleeves. Here's one of my Tara Lynn Morrison knits that I did in a yarn I really like. It is a discontinued drops yarn, but it's a super bulky, and she started doing less of the thick and thin and using like Wool in the Gang, Crazy Sexy Wool. Oops, there's an end. So this is cropped. It's really cute, and I got the fit just like I wanted it. This is exactly how I wanted it to look. The sleeves and everything. I'm so pleased with this. However, I need the high-waisted pants. I need the dresses or skirts and things that I think will look really good with it. And that's the same with the Soldotna. So I've got this, and I can wear a shirt under it. That's fine. But I really do like the look of a high-waisted something with something like this. And this is the warmest. It's a super bulky. Oh my gosh, it's very, very warm. And I screwed up my earrings. Why did I wear earrings anyway? Second to last. So I've been working on, I did a lot of summer knits. I haven't done so many in the last few years, but this is one I did, and I have photos for my blog. I just haven't put them up. It's that Sunset Ringer. I've shown you guys. I wore it for an episode. Still haven't blocked it. I did a mega blocking session and I forgot this one. When I block it, it is going to be larger, but that's okay. It looks good now, and it would be okay if it was larger. I'll be happy either way. It fits either way, so I'm good. I really love the look of this. I would like to make Alexandra Tab. I would like to make everything Alexandra Tabble has put out. I really appreciate her use of Lion Brand yarn and how good she makes her stuff look. This is Kobu and Bonbons. and it looks great. I think she's just really talented. She's got a lot of basics, and she does as much knit as she does crochet, and she's really made me want to try more crochet. So I have a couple of 40% off kits of hers, and one is that Winds of the Atlantic topper, and I would really like to do that this winter. I'm not even going to show the sweater I made. Let me see. It's so covered. Oh my gosh, it's so covered in ends that need to be woven in. It's a nightmare. I have all these ends because I knit the oh my God. Wool fuzz in my eyes. I knit the sleeves in reverse, so and it's going to be reversible. But anyway, ta-da! So this is all over plaid. I thought about just doing a couple, like a hint of plaid. I might do that for the short sleeve one I'm going to make, the cropped one. This actually is kind of cropped. I wouldn't mind having a huge one version of this. And then when I did the vertical stripes, it's pulled it up some. So it was a really flowy, drapey sweater, and now it's pulling it up a little, the stripes, the vertical. So I think I need to block it again and work with it. Something about the nature of the chain stitch is just firm. But, I mean, it's not the worst. It's just not. It's neither cropped nor long. So, anyway, I still like it. It might be horrid to a lot of people, but all over patterning plaid, but I love it. And then there's my last sweater that you've all seen. It still has two ends coming out of one sleeve. What is it? What will it be? Soldotna. And I love this. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired now. This is literally like a workout. Let me just pretend those aren't there. And I really like how this looks. I really like the crop length. I like that it's not flaring out too much. And I love the colors. So, all right. That's all of it. I wrote down some questions. My fails. Oh, here's one I didn't show you. This Tommy top, it's a Wool in the Gang pattern. I got this denim for it. I'm really disappointed. I started knitting and the gauge that they called for, it looked so open weave. It just looked cheapy to me. So I made it, I just used more, I ordered more, and I made it more substantial. And it's like, it doesn't flow at all. It doesn't bend. It looks terrible. So I'm going to undo it one of these days and knit it at the correct gauge. Another fail I can't find is my Hualpa kimono is what it was called by We Are Knitters. Everyone had trouble getting it to be the size of the one the girl's wearing in the sample. I don't know what size she's wearing. I didn't feel like it had multiple sizes, but it's so tiny. It looks like a book cover. You know, like I knitted a cotton book cover. My very best knitting experience, probably it was with Oh My Bear, or Just Beachy, which I call Just Can Be, because I made the whole thing on the way to and while I was at Zion National Park in Utah. My cheapest sweater was probably the mustard colored Beatnik at $15. I don't think I've done anything cheaper than this for a whole sweater. My favorite retro sweater. I really liked this Sunset Ringer. It makes me think of the OP t-shirts that we wore when we were kids. And I like the julep jacket. Hang on. I really, really love the combination of this little dragonfly pattern with this color of yarn. I just really think it's pretty. And then, you know, Beatnik is also kind of retro, heady. I liked heady also. The one that's the most intricate, or the intricacy I'm most proud of, probably is the Everett Henley that I showed you, the sea glass and driftwood, that Lunder Linden. I'm really proud of writing up, like figuring out how to make that motif work in a sweater that looked like something I had seen. I enjoyed making my giant plaid sweater. I really had fun writing that up. I just haven't had fun weaving in ends, obviously. I'm also pretty pleased with Plum. It was very different for me, and it involved a lot of different stitch patterns, and the sizing, the way the hem finished, it was tricky. My most expensive sweater to make at this point was probably this Plum. I also did a kit for that Soldotna, but I did, it's cropped. I did buy extra for the sleeves. I think the most expensive sweater, I haven't knit it yet, my rose cardigan. My husband got me a kit from a dyer for Christmas last year, and I'd like to knit that the beginning of this year. Most of these sweaters I've shown you have been affordable yarns, Knit Picks being on the higher end. My husband asked me what an estimate of the cost of all of these were, and I said if I averaged $25 a sweater, so remember some are $15, and 1 or 2 were from recycled yarn. But let's say I averaged $25 a sweater, that's $2,925 on sweaters. If I averaged $35 a sweater, $4,095. That kind of blew my mind. Now I realize this is over a almost 20-year span, so that's not terrible. That's $204 a year. That's not so bad. So he asked my average time spent. I can't even guess. I knit at least 2 hours a day, I would say. Sometimes more. Sometimes I knit all day trying to finish a test knit. Sometimes I don't knit for a couple of days, like the last 2 days when my son broke his ankle. The worst yarn I've ever used would be like fuzzy fur type yarn. It wasn't the cool fur, like they have some fur-like things that people are using to line hats and stuff now. It wasn't like that. It was more like fun fur. I knit a couple of scarves, and then I did that poncho. My most difficult sweater to knit on was definitely a all-over brioche rib sweater. I can't think of the name. It was from Interweave, and I tried and tried to knit it as a new knitter. It's what the potholder yarn was supposed to be for. So I really just saved myself a lot of trouble from doing bulky brioche in a color that was going to look like a potholder. I got upset. I threw that sweater and the pattern against the wall a few times. If I could start all over again, what would I do different? He asked me that one. I think I would keep in mind my body, my real body measurements, not just a number that I usually buy, like small, medium, large. And I would always buy an extra ball of yarn. Or I would just really consider, how likely am I to wear this? I don't think I would knit any more summer weight knits, tank tops, anything in wool ever again. My worst knitting idea, or my most useless knitting idea, knitted swimsuits. Yeah, but that's not really a sweater idea. My favorite yarns to work with, I mean, I love a lot of higher priced yarns. I've really enjoyed working with them. But as you see, most of my sweaters have been knit with Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, Cascade 220, and Pattens. I really do enjoy Wool of the Andes, tweed, and Pattens. I've enjoyed them more than anything, probably. Well, actually, you know, I loved this Elena yarn by Mueke, but it's just not something I have regularly. My favorite thing to do while I knit would probably be I watch TV or I listen to TV. I would like to say reading, but I've just been doing things that are too complicated to read while doing. So I love to knit outside. That's my favorite place to knit, on my patio or in a hammock. Now, that's my favorite place to knit, in a hammock when I'm camping. And I don't need anything going in the background. But I also do like to knit to TV. He asked me if the animals mess me up when I'm knitting. Yes, constantly. They want in the house, they want out the house. They want in the room, they want out of the room. My favorite place to take a finished object photo was in Iceland, probably with the birch sweater that wasn't finished. I didn't have sleeves on it yet, but it looked like a lot of Icelandic sweaters that were sleeveless. That was probably my favorite. Or Oh My Bear when I was in Tennessee, because my husband and I mean, it was just about me resting because they knew I'd been through a lot. And so I knitted on the sweater. We went to Dollywood. We went hiking. I'd knit on the sweater at night, and we would watch Broadchurch. And then we took finished object photos the day we left. And that was a lot of fun, and I got to use my Instax camera for that. So I enjoyed it. The thing I'm most excited to knit in the future is everything by Alexandra Tavel. I like a lot of her patterns, and my rose cardigan. I really want to do that. My best suggestion for your first sweater? Well, you know, Julie said she's doing a class, and that helped her do the Ursa crop, and that's a great idea for a first sweater because it's a very simple design. It's cropped, so it's not going to go on and on and on, the knitting process. A lot of people do tin can knits flax sweater as a first sweater. It's really handy. It's good. These Tara Lynn Morrison patterns are deceptively simple in appearance. You know, they're very clean, but they, I feel like the knitting experience is very straightforward and very satisfying. And you can try these on as you go, because if they're knit from the top down, you can try it on and see, how do I like this? Constantly you can customize it. Those are good first patterns. I would just say that pick something you really want. And if it doesn't have anything over the top hard like steeking in it, just go with it. I wouldn't do a crazy hard lace pattern my first time, but you could. I would use wool so that it sticks. If you drop a stitch, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to fall all the way down. But honestly, I just say whatever you like, it keeps you motivated, use that, do that. So if I had to do my favorite sweater out of all of these, just off the cuff, favorite sweater, I would probably say my Beatnik sweaters were my favorites, just because of the whole experience. If I look at my sweaters and say, what's the one I want to be the person who wears this daily and looks good in this, I would probably say the sea glass and driftwood, because it's so just put together and so nice. You know, I would say this, or dragonflies, or the sexy librarian sweater. That would look really good. I would like to wear something like that regularly, and have a way to wear that. The tuxedo vest. But the truth is, the one that's most me, probably it would be birch, big and oversized. This Julia sweater that I wear constantly, that my husband thinks is sloppy, but no, he actually loves it. And Capsule that I showed you by Shannon Cook. Oatmeal, the one that fits. Phoenix by Libby Johnson. These are probably the ones that are the most me. So Melanie Braden Tinker on YouTube has knit 5 sweaters. I can't believe you've only knit 5 sweaters, but you do a lot of shawls and socks and things, Melanie, and you knit a lot for other people. But she has a new sock pattern out, by the way. It's Odeline, and I might show a picture here of it. I don't know. I've got so much editing to do to this. I cannot wait to knit this. I think about this pattern a lot. I want to knit these soon. Amanda has knit, is it Marya by Junko Okamoto. That is her only sweater. Amanda also collects a lot of sweater books and doesn't knit from them like I have. Alexandra just made her first sweater for herself, and she wants another cardigan, but she makes a lot of clothing for her family, and with a growing child there's like a lot of, you know, clothing needs, which is kind of neat and different here. Not many people need sweaters where I'm at, or wool socks, so it's more as just a luxury item. Julie, like I said, is already making her first sweater, and she wants to do some Stephen West knits all through the year. Would like to do one of his sweater designs. His tutorials make her feel capable of doing any of his patterns, which is a gift, I think, for him, because his patterns are very creative and unique, and they could intimidate someone who's not confident with sweater knitting, but he gives her a can-do feeling. Katie has only knit 31 sweaters, which I can't believe. And if you count 4 that she ripped out and reknit, that would be 35 total. I'm so shocked by that because she's a designer, and I knit at least 2 of her sweater designs. But there's not a lot of need for them in California where she lives, so that's probably part of it. But she didn't say what her favorite was. I wonder if you're avoiding thinking about that. That's a really hard question to answer. Pammy has only knit 2 sweaters, Featherweight and the Barn Sweater, but she loves them both. She has 2 more in progress, Lizzie and Valenza. Sharon has made tons of kid sweaters, but never one for herself. But she's feeling like even after seeing so many of the sweaters I've made with more commercial yarn that's very budget friendly, that she could totally do that. It's not that big of a time commitment. It's not that big of a financial investment, and so she's looking at doing something maybe in worsted weight, heavier weight. But it's really tempting to knit for grandkids solely, which I can totally see. I've been thinking lately how much fun it would be to have grandkids. Jennifer, her favorite sweater of all she's knit is long line, but she's knit 51, which I could believe totally. I could believe you've knit more, Jennifer. I feel like every time I turn on Instagram, you've got a new sweater you're showing. She's done such great work on so many in the last few years since I've known her. But long line is her favorite. I'll try to insert a picture here. Brooke has knit 10 adult sweaters and 12 children's sweaters, so 22 total. She loves all of them, but probably her Shalom is her favorite, and she wears it daily. She also loves Leavenwick, White Light, and Turmeric. I'm trying to think what Turmeric is, but I can't get it in my head. Komari by Melody Hoffman is the one she's just knit in Quarry. Vivian lives in Toronto, so sweaters are an everyday must-have for her. She's knit almost 80, which is awesome. There's some heavy ones and some lightweight ones, but her current favorite is Love Note. It is a really easy to pattern to do from what she says, and a fairly quick knit, so it's something that's definitely doable in the fall season. Sarah Jane has knit 35. Some are for her children, some are for herself, but Steinkrieger she knit it in Lopi. I hope I'm saying that right, Steinkrieger. It's her favorite. She really loves color work yokes, working with those. And she would like to knit Andy by Junko, just for an everyday around the house cardigan. Okay, I'm having to finish on my phone because my camera memory card is full and I'm exhausted, and I'm never doing this again, so I hope you enjoy it. If it's horrible and my pants were unzipped the whole time, oh well, so be it. What I did want to tell you before I go is that I am doing a make-along with Andrea Jimenez, who is the Knit Picky on Instagram. She's also half of Mockingbird Fibers, and she and her sister Jamie do Mockingbird Fibers podcast. So what we are doing is a scrappy blanket make-along. You can join in with us. It's totally casual. It's going to take a really long time to do it. We don't have a set end date for this. We just both wanted to start something. So you could do a granny stripe like I'm going to do. You could do a cozy memories. You could do any sort of scraps blanket. It can be crochet, it can be knitting, it's just to make along. So whatever you want to do. So I've shown you guys that I've got my little size D hook that I'm going to be using for my blanket. And I have, let me just bring it up here. I have a bunch of minis that I've been given, some by Sweet Andy of my sister's knitter that I have never used because they were too precious and I didn't get very far on a memories blanket. And then I have a lot of blue-green or like turquoise colored yarns to be kind of a running color here and there. You know, every few rows I'll do a little bit of these colors just to kind of keep it in keeping with colors in my bedroom. Wrappy blanket make along, and I'm gonna have it here on the screen. That is our hashtag. Join in, because before the next episode I'm going to get at least my I'm gonna chain out my first chain for the scrappy blanket and try and get the width. I'm looking for like something almost queen size width. So hopefully I'll have that started in one of those colors I just showed you. And then I'm gonna have so much fun adding all my leftovers to it because I have a lot of fingering weight leftovers. And I hope you guys will join in. And so just use the hashtag on Instagram. This is an Instagram thing. I don't think it's gonna be on Ravelry. You're welcome to talk about it as your whips and FOs in my group on Ravelry if you want. I don't know what else to say. I'm exhausted. We all need to eat. And I have, oh my gosh, look at this. I have all this to put away. I'm never doing it again, ever. I feel like this shrunk. Oh, I got a side stitch. Oh. These are the moments that made me panic as a child.